tabletop role-playing news. We aim to amuse and we aim to enthuse. And Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG.
Hello, and welcome to Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG talk. I am Russ, aka Morris, or Morris, aka Russ, and with me this week is
PJ Coffey from the Southampton Guild of Role Players. Russ, as ever, it is a delight to be here. Joining us also, some say that she's the biggest fan of Baldur's Gate 3 in the entire world, but I say she's just not that big. It's the one, it's the only,
It's me, Jessica from EM Publishing, and it is true, I am but 5 feet tall, so doesn't count as a halfling or a gnome technically.
Oh, wasn't bad, that one. I liked that one. So how are we all?
Good.
So we are, as we always do now, live streaming this on video. You can see it on YouTube, Facebook, and I believe Twitch, or you can catch up on it afterwards. If you do join us live, though, you can post comments and we might even answer them. Anyway, shall we get on with some tabletop RPG news while I'm being molested by a dog, as always?
I'm sorry to hear. It's a dog.
It's a dog. Yes.
Everyone can see the dog as well, and that's watching it live as well. Which is a bonus. Yeah. So what piece of news?
Very effective.
Very effective. And he is chaotic good boy. Is his alignment?
He's just chaotic boy.
He's just chaotic boy. Fair enough. All right. So D&D or TTRPG news. We have some D&D stuff, of course. We've got stuff about the Monster Manual, and we've got other things. So do we want to start with D&D or start with other things? Where do we fancy this week?
Well, the Monster Manual came out this week. Came out on Tuesday, I believe, in local game stores in North America. Sorry, I'm still being molested by this dog. And on D&D Beyond.
Yes.
It hasn't hit the larger stores yet. But, people are talking about it online. There's already Errata out for it. Not much, to be fair, just a few little bits. Already Errata out for it. So we've got a bit to talk about that. But I reckon let's do the non-D&D stuff first, and then dive into the monster, because it's it's the biggest topic we'll talk about, and dive into that a bit more next week. Not next week, at the end. You know what I mean?
At the end.
Yes.
Yeah, later.
Afterwards. Yes.
Later.
Yes.
In the next bit. All right. So let's talk about the TTRPG news that is not D&D.
Yes, I think that's an excellent idea.
Excellent. Where shall we start?
Right. Well, are we familiar with Massive Darkness?
Yes.
Good. I am not. So, let's start this by someone telling me what Massive Darkness is, and then I'll tell you what the news is regarding it.
Oh, okay. I've only played it a couple of times. It's it's a board game from Cool Mini Not, CMON Minis, and it obviously has absolutely tons of little figurines inside, which, gotta say, that was a big draw for me to buy it in the first place. But it's actually got quite a good game of vaguely asymmetric types of class you can play with. They've got one which is you're basically trying to play blackjack, where you're trying to get up to a number but not go over, because otherwise you go bust. And there's a wizard where there's lots of dials spinning, and then something explodes at the end of it, which is pretty cool. And there's one with a little draw bag where you draw things out. So they've got different classes which play quite differently.
Okay.
And the basic theme is it's sort of angelic hordes versus demonic monsters that have come to ruin things. Bit like it's going on the picture on the screen right now. We've got a fairly standard looking adventuring party, and they're attempting to fight evil. I
don't know.
I quite enjoy it. There's no GM required, so that was a big plus. But I haven't really played it that much.
Well, the news is it's getting a TTRPG. I say TTRPG. It's 5e compatible, so it's getting a bestiary and an adventurer's guide. 5e bestiary and a 5e adventurer's guide.
Yeah.
Published by CMON.
Mhm.
The Massive Darkness Bestiary. It's going to have over 50 iconic Massive Darkness creatures.
I can expect so. There's a lot of gribblies in that book and in that box. Gotta say, yeah, absolutely. And from the character, I have a packing order list on it in order to get everything in.
So the Adventurer's Guide has a sandbox campaign setting module.
Nice.
New backgrounds, magic items, traveling rules, a gazetteer of locations, hazards, NPCs, and hooks, and a adventure called Raiders of the Lost Dawn.
There we go.
Yeah.
And I guess if you have the board game, you could use them as your minis for
I guess so.
the RPG.
Yes, you could.
Yeah, because they have loads in the board game of it. So I guess
are they painted or are they?
The intention is to paint them.
Right. Okay.
They currently exist in what we call the grey pile of shame.
Yeah. We know it well.
Or the grey pile of possibility is another way to look at it.
That's
the grey pile of hope.
Yes, there we go.
The colour grey often associated with hope throughout many cultures.
Yeah, I call it a little statue, like improvised, the triumph of hope over experience.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. I also noticed they have a quick start guide on Drive-Thru-RPG for free that has an adventure. So if people wanting to have a look at what it's about, there is that free download.
Characters as well.
Oh, there you so you can have a look at that. But I mean, it is this setting in 5e, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The designer of this, one of them is one of the designers of the One Ring. The Free League / previously Cubicle 7 Middle Earth Tolkien TTRPG.
I'm prepping for a campaign of that.
Yeah.
Verify the Hanrahan, different one.
No, this is Francesco Nepitello.
Okay. Not heard them before, but looking forward to seeing their work.
They also did Assassin's Creed RPG. If you've seen that one, but yeah,
nice.
They have done things.
All
right.
I mean, I'm not against this idea. I was at Contingency last week, which is why I wasn't here. It was really amazing. Played a game of Final Fantasy 14. Has the RPG. And it was very crunchy tactical goodness. We had a great time. I was doing my best dodgy French accent. We had a little elf person with a very aggro scout accent, and also someone who's really channeling the spirit of I think Garth Marenghi more.
Oh right, from the Dark Place.
Yeah. Or there's another chap. I can't remember his name. Big fella.
I can't help you.
Speaks a bit like this. Well, never mind. Comedian that I don't watch, but I enjoyed the reference. He was very, very, very slightly clueless, but very fun. Yeah. So
is this its own system?
The Final Fantasy game.
Yes, sort of. It's basically a really, really streamlined version of 5e. For mechanic, but just all the classes have just had it really stripped down, so it is very fast to play.
Yeah,
which I personally appreciated. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I could. This is what it looks like when you take out things like proficiency bonuses and a lot of fiddle faddle, but also maybe less role play than you might want. But it's Final Fantasy, so I don't know. Quite cool. I enjoyed it.
Of course, the question that everybody has is: did you, as you intended, manage to play 50 hours of role playing games?
52, yeah.
52 hours. Wow, that's a lot of hours.
Well, I mean, it's spread over 5 days. But the first 3 days I was doing 3 games of 4 hours each, so that was pretty good.
Yeah, well, 52 hours is definitely more than 4 hours, according to Einstein. I've checked. So that's a lot of hours.
Yeah. It was really good. I got to tick some games off my conceptual bucket list of ones I haven't had a chance to play. Knights, Black Agents. That was very cool. Definitely lives up to the hype. Uses sort of the gumshoe, but with the assumption of competence, which I really do enjoy in games. So basically, a lot of the time you can just do it. If it's in doubt, it's a 50% chance of succeeding, but you can throw some dots at the problem to either auto-succeed or increase your odds of succeeding. And with further dots thrown at it, you could do things that you wouldn't normally be able to do, which really leans heavily on the genre. So big fan, really enjoyed it, had a great time. That was a good one. Played a bit of Era as well, bit of Starfighter in space, that was a good laugh. Ghostbusters, obviously.
What, the original?
Original. Yeah, whenever I see a game of Ghostbusters, I'm like
lighting up.
Try and get in there. I was playing a surfer dude, real estate agent on the lam from California to the middle of America, and part of the Ghostbusters franchise.
Right.
Cowabunga, dude.
No,
that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
No, but that feels like a Californian surfer thing to say.
Indeed. It was loads of fun. That
can genre mash, Russ.
Yeah. And Mutant City Blues as well, which is again a gumshoe. I didn't realize I was going to be playing so many gumshoe games. I ended up playing 3, which I was not expecting. But this one is set in Dublin, which makes it pretty unusual because that wasn't just someone localizing it to Dublin. It was like, no, this is the actual setting. Like, I was like, oh, okay, this is really quite cool. You know, don't get many European set games. You certainly don't get them set in Ireland without there being lots of fairies, because this is all about superheroes.
Yeah.
Although the backstory,
modern day setting, is it?
Yeah, it's modern day setting. They had I was actually had to look to play one of the designers, CJ Roma, who was telling me about the unfortunateness of their second release, which was in 2020 for second edition. And the problem there is part of the background is when they originally released it back in like 2010, 2013, a worldwide plague came out of China and killed lots of people and gave other superpowers. So 2020 release was like, damn, son, that's.
I didn't get the superpower part when I had got.
No, I didn't either.
I just got the fatigue, which doesn't feel like a superpower.
No, it's not one of the traditional superpowers.
No.
Fatigue, why?
But yeah, I got to play lots of games. Metamorphosis Alpha, I got to play as well.
Oh yeah, how's that?
Well,
very old school.
I really love the setting. Think it's amazing. I would welcome an opportunity to do a big conversion of it to like a modern day system. That would be really fascinating and lots of fun.
You weren't keen on the system.
No one at that table was keen on the system. The GM. I think maybe his life could have been easier if he'd used pre-gen characters for the correct edition.
Oh no!
So I'm not saying like I had a perfect. This is how it's meant to play. But like there's a lot of old school design thoughts like insta kills and permanent paralysis and just stuff like that. And it's like that's all right. But but like I say, it's the setting being on a generation ship that's truly enormous. So there's lots of different levels. And your whole world is in the place, and that's really ticking a lot of boxes for me at the moment because I'm deep into the Bobbyverse, which is a great series by Dennis Taylor, which you haven't read, I'm guessing, from the blank expression.
I'm not either, so that's why I didn't have anything to comment. I was like, I trust and believe it's good from you, but
I have it on audiobook, and that's an excellent way to enjoy it. So
yes.
Right, we should probably move on.
Yes.
But it's nice to hear about the con and the games that people are playing about con stuff, because cons are really great community building and RPGs, and I think they're a way to try different stuff because there's just people offering stuff there.
And what's the next news item?
Well, speaking of TTRPG community, it's always good to support the TTRPG community, and an excellent way to do that is through the Diana Jones Emerging Designer Submission Award. How's that segue?
Smooth.
Like butter. It's great.
These segues are just starting to become like a character of their own in this show now, aren't they?
Yeah, I know. I want it to be like the personality, like how in some TV shows the location is a character in itself. Anyway.
Yes.
So the 2025 Emerging Designers Program from the Diana Jones Award. So submissions are now opened, so you can nominate yourself or another designer using the online form, and all the links are on EN World, so you can go to there. And there's also a section on the website saying who's eligible and what the terms are for that. But what it does, in case people don't know, is pretty much designers who are finalists, they get a free badge and hotel room at Gen Con. They get like $2,000 travel reimbursement, 75 grand, not pound.
Wow.
US dollars, $75 per day for food.
Oh,
and they get $2,000 for like presenting their work. So they get a load of stuff, and it's pretty much a way that new and emerging designers from all over the world have a chance to go to Gen Con and network and show their stuff when they otherwise wouldn't get the chance to. So I think it's a really nice program.
It's quite, if you look at the amount of that, it's basically like a $5,000 prize.
Easily.
Yeah. Well, prize is the wrong word, award. It's good.
Great recognition, but certainly certain communities will probably feel a lot less safe about trying to claim it this year.
This is
politics sadly interfering in our role-playing games once more.
Yeah, I mean, the award's been going since like 2021, but I mean, obviously this year there may be some people that won't want to travel to America for various reasons. I'm not sure there's much the awards can do about that, but if you or know someone that would like to apply, it's open to do that now. So
the deadline is February the 14th, by the way. So
it's only a week.
Yeah.
So it's Valentine's Day.
Yes.
But yeah.
I think they can't have been they must have only started working the last 3 years or something like that.
All the details are on the website about who is eligible. I haven't got them right in front of me, but yeah, I think it's something like that. But linked on the World article, there's a link to that page, so you can just check that you or the person you're nominating is eligible.
Yeah. Right then, what else have we got? We got some Pathfinder news.
We do.
Pathfinder, multi-Pathfinder news.
Yes.
Exciting.
There are multiple paths to take. So
one is a new giant-themed ancestry, the Jotunborn.
Exciting. Got Viking vibe to it there.
Yeah.
Smiths. Jotunheim, all that.
Yeah. So there's going to be a book coming called Battlecry. A rule book called Battlecry. And they generally release a big rule book every year. This will have the Commander and Guardian classes. The Jotunborn is a giant from an alternate plane of existence. They tend to giant beetles, whose silk is used to create ritualistic markings. So this is going to be interesting, I guess.
The picture that's on screen in front of me is of a vaguely Marvel-looking blue giant sort of type. Has orange punching gloves, I guess, or sleeping bags on his arms. Not quite sure what's going on there. Together with some more traditional armor. Maybe it's meant to be carapace or something with the beetle reference. And they appear to have maybe a morning star, but on the end of a staff.
So one of those people with hands twice the size of his own head.
To me, it looks like an ice hockey player. You know, when you see an ice hockey goalie, he looks a bit like that because of the way he's holding the club. Almost looks like a stick, and the amount of padding and armor is like to that level that you'd have in like ice hockey.
Yeah,
nice. I mean,
I don't know if that's a reference at all, but when I looked at it, that's what came to mind.
Yeah,
that comes from a land of northern ice and is ready to inflict extreme violence using a hockey stick. I mean, definitely got the Canadian Geneva suggestions vibe going on.
Yeah, but we'll be very polite about it. Probably they'll knock you down and punch your teeth out, but then they'll give you a hand to get you up and check you're okay afterwards. So
yeah, a visit down to Timmy's for a cup of joe and a nice donut. Why not?
Exactly. Yeah.
Although, would you want a donut if you just had your teeth knocked out?
That'd be nice and soft.
Yeah, it depends on the type of donut, but if it's like a soft donut, I guess you could just mush that.
Like just this gummy. Oh no. Oh, okay.
Just gum on a donut.
Thanks for that lovely mental image, Russ.
Something we can all look forward to in our old age.
Moving on from that. There's also the Hellbreakers Adventure Path coming for Pathfinder. This is a war between the democratic country of Andorran and a devil bat nation of Cheliacs.
Okay.
Fun. So they're coming out early Battlecry is coming out this summer with the giant Ancestry.
That's not this one.
Hellbreakers is coming out early 2026.
Oh, okay, so next year, which is quite a long way away at this point.
Yeah. But in other Pathfinder news, coming out tomorrow.
Yes.
So really, really soon. Is Pathfinder 2E's Guns and Gears Remastered.
Yes. This was the image I got up a bit early because I thought it was the book you were talking about in the news segment before. So viewers have had a flash teaser of it already.
Yeah. We have covered the original edition of Guns and Gears, and it was certainly quite an exciting concept to me at the time, bringing lots of black powder weapons and so forth to Pathfinder.
Yeah, and the gunslinger.
Nice. Rocket-powered punches. That's always good.
We've got toys like clockwork gears, lightning coils, flammable black powder, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. As opposed to non-flammable black powder.
Yes, famous non-flammable black powder. Yes, yeah.
Well, like pepper.
Pepper.
Although pepper's pretty much any powder catches fire and explodes. It's pretty bad, actually. Don't mess around with powders, kids. Terrible plan.
I never would. I watched a video about it when I was in school, and I believed them.
You were right to. Yeah, dangerous stuff.
But yeah, I don't have much to say about Guns and Gears and Pathfinder, but I like it. I think the way they did it previously made it work in the setting. It didn't feel odd to see a gun in the setting, if that makes sense, the way they did it. So,
well, Pathfinder I've always felt feels, I mean, it's still standard high fantasy, but compared to D&D, I think it's ever so slightly more experimental than D&D is. Not massively so, but a little more.
It feels like a more industrial world as well.
Yeah, like D&D will never have a Guns and Gears rulebook.
Yeah, I don't know too much about it. Well, don't count your blessings.
Would Eberron count? Like, Eberron leans in that direction,
I suppose,
doesn't it?
Yeah, it's partly that.
Eberron is your, formal, magical, high fantasy sort of vibes. Where they're leaning explicitly on it's just a magic rather than industry. Whereas Pathfinder, to my understanding, which is a bit limited because I've never been fortunate enough to be in a game that covers all the really weird places, also has a lot of weird fiction. When I say weird fiction, I mean that blend that I love of science fiction and fantasy mixed together. So they've got places where you can have robots kicking around, shooting lasers at people. So, the Guns and Gears is not a wild leap. But that's my understanding. Yeah, I could be wrong. Apologies if I am. That's how it's been related to me. It does sound interesting. It's just like not really getting on with it and enjoying the game enough to properly and not finding a place to go, because everyone wants to play it, nobody wants to run it.
This is I mean that's the issue that any TTRPG
the age-old situation. Yeah,
we need more GMs.
So if we are a little bit in with that, I do have a little minor segue because I forgot to say Jessica will be excited by this. I got to play 10 Candles.
Oh, what did you think?
I thought it was amazing. It totally lives up to the hype. I am blown away. This is so cool.
I think it's one of those games where even an average game is good. Even if you have a game that's not so great, because I don't know, the table's not feeling it, the story doesn't go good, it's still a good time.
So for those listening and watching, depending on where you are, 10 Candles, do you want to give a quick kind of description of how that works?
Yes, or shall I?
Yeah, sure. So it is like a one-shot TTRPG, and it's got a mechanic where candles are part of the game. So you have 10 lit tea-light candles, and that is the number of scenes that you'll have in the game, and that also impacts the number of d6 you have in your dice pool to do conflict rolls, which is whenever something uncertain has happened. So conflict doesn't just mean a fight; it could be you're opening a door. What's behind it? Let's roll to kind of find out what is behind it. It's very narrative, and I really like running it as a GM because you create the story as you go with the players. So the players are forming the narrative as you go. There's a really nice section when a candle gets blown out. We have like a scene called telling truths. We say these things true. Yeah, I can't remember. And you each go around and you get to make a fact or a statement about the world, and then you can build off other people. And it's a really nice collaborative storytelling thing. And then because of the candles, there's tension and anxiety about them being blown out, and it just works really nicely. It's really nice and thematic.
Best played in the dark, I assume.
Oh yeah, it's designed to be played in the dark with just played by candlelight. And you also have character cards, which has mechanics. You burn the character cards to use them and set them on fire, which is always
fire
fun.
hazards.
Yeah, when I do
You have a health
like,
and safety briefing before you
I
start.
do. I'm like, okay, safety for this game. It's a horror game, so you do the usual lines of bells, and I'm like, physical safety. We're playing with fire. I always have about 2 different forms of fire suppression, and different players on the table are responsible for different ones. So I usually have a jug of water, I have a fire blanket, and then an extinguisher, just in case things get out of hand.
We had like a nice like steel bowl in the middle of the table, which looked quite nice. I was playing. It was a convention, so I was playing with people that I had never met before at all. I found out it was also the GM's first time they were running the game.
Oh
wow!
And especially at the convention, I would never have guessed. Really atmospheric, really moody.
It is a really nice game to run as a new GM because there's not a huge amount of prep to do. You just kind of need to structure it and then just throw bits at the players for them to catch and pick up and run with. So I'd say it's a really nice game to run. And if you want to learn more about it, we have an episode of Not D&D, which I think was like 2-3 years ago. I did that interview. But yeah, we go into depth there. But I think it's a really great game.
Yeah, I mean, I was really engaged with it, which I was I wanted to try it out, but I found it really engaging. And I'm not normally someone who goes for a game where it's all about the best story. But it's like the point of the game is you're going to find out how you die. There's no opportunity to escape.
Yes.
It is a tragedy. You know it's going to happen. It is just the manner of your passing which you choose. Which I was like, okay, yeah, I can see how this was.
Yes. I did forget to mention that. It's a tragic horror. Your character will die when all the candles are out at the end of the game. So you as a player know that from the beginning.
If you're not okay with this, you probably don't want to play it. You definitely don't want to play this game. And I was a bit on the fence about it, but as I say, I enjoyed myself. I did have to tone down the bleakness a little bit when we were doing the truths, because the other players were like getting a bit, oh no.
Yeah, it's important to get lines, veils, and expectations in this game because it's a horror game and it's narrative and storytelling. So you really want to know where the edges are and what the rules are. I have a standard form I have for doing it that includes really weird things on it that normally you wouldn't ask people, like, are you okay with this? What about eyeballs?
Yeah. Oh, this was more like the little base of the setting was that the sun has disappeared.
Yeah.
We don't know why. No stars, no moon. It's all gone. So you're about 10 weeks into eternal night. So yeah, for me, I'm like, well, I guess the logical ramifications of this, it stops snowing, all the water's disappeared from the atmosphere. They're like, no, we're not going to die because all the oxygen throws out the atmosphere. That's not. I'm like, fine.
Right. So if we go to something less bleak now.
I've got something less bleak.
I was going to talk about Monty Python.
That was the thing I was also going to suggest.
It's literally the thing I was saying before you interrupted me to tell you were going to say it.
Sorry, I apologise. Go ahead.
So we now have a release date for Monty Python. This is Monty Python's co-curricular medieval reenactment program.
Did this not come out like 4 or 5 years ago?
It was going to come out last year. In October, but for various reasons it didn't.
Okay.
But now it crowdfunded last year.
Yeah, crowdfunded since we heard about this, isn't it?
Well, they did like 2 million on Kickstarter in, was it 2024?
I think it was last year, 2024. They announced they were going to do it in 23. Crowdfunder in 24. Publishing 25. So, but I think we heard about it for a long time. In fairness, I think they did an early kind of. It's happening in 2023 in fairness.
I remember seeing adverts on the Tube about it. So, that's
on the Tube?
Really?
Yeah.
For an RPG? Wow.
Yeah. Blew my mind, mate. It was wild.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, it hits retail on March the 5th. So basically in 1 month's time, you can go and pick it up. I assume all the Kickstarter backers will have their copies now and things like that. So,
were you a backer, Russ? Did you back that one?
I don't think I did in the end.
Oh, okay.
I know I backed the Terry Pratchett one.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm confusing.
But I didn't back this one. I don't know why I didn't. Seems like
I
the sort of
can't
thing I
tell
would
you.
back. But no, apparently
Looking
I
to
didn't.
me for an answer I cannot provide.
I
No.
mean, I don't know what I felt this was. Oh, okay. I must be confused because I was pretty sure this was on before Jessica joined the podcast, but I guess I'm just wrong. Anyway,
No, it wasn't that long ago. It was.
I've been here for years, lurking.
Yes, forever,
biding my time.
forever. Yes, just the beginning
I
of
am
time.
eternal.
Yeah.
no, well, that's good. That's excellent news for all people who like Monty Python. So good times.
Hey, guess who's 25?
Me.
Me too.
Okay, that did not need the laugh.
I was just impressed by your moxie. Go on, who's 25 then?
Green Ronin are 25.
Good for
Their
them.
25th
Happy birthday.
anniversary. To be fair, companies which started around the year 2000, there's lots of them because that was the D20 boom. And I think we can actually say, I think EM Publishing is 25 as well this year.
Okay.
I think quite a lot of the sort of companies that were born out of the D20 boom are basically 25 this year. But Green Ronin's,
it's 2001 EM Publishing.
I think it was
launched.
Yeah, but it was like might have been 2001.
We should probably do something about that.
Yeah. But anyway, Green Ronin is sort of having an anniversary. They're kicking off like an anniversary year, basically. So they say they're going to be celebrating all year with like events and sales, looks back to important moments of the company's histories. So yeah, it's so good because I remember Green Ronin starting. That makes me feel old. I can't really claim to be 25 if I remember that, can I?
I've got people at the club who are younger than this game company.
Yeah.
You get accustomed to it, Russ. You're just like, is what it is. Like when you're born in the latter decades of the last millennium, you do tend to have to start rolling with the punches. What can I say?
You know what? My PT is 24. And some of the conversations we have are so weird, just the cultural touchstones that she does not have whatsoever in common with me. Like, I'll say something like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something. A name that I thought every person on the planet knows.
She doesn't know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is.
Well, she follows American politics. She might know him as the Republican governor of California.
I don't think she follows American politics.
Do you know what?
And also, when he was the Republican governor of California, she was probably like 9.
Yeah,
you know,
probably
not on her radar. Yeah,
not on TikTok.
But what is that? Like Terminator?
Well, it was in the 1980s.
Yeah, but is that not like a classic thing? Like Star Wars came out, ages ago. But people, if you say to people Star Wars,
she's never seen a Star Wars film,
but she knows what Star Wars is because it's in the cultural
zeitgeist. It's that space thing with wizards, isn't it?
Yeah. See, so she's aware.
Yeah,
that sounds like a great description of Star Wars, to be honest.
Never seen a Lord of the Ring.
Missing out. They're great films. I rewatched them over Christmas.
If it was like what I'm hearing is, Russ, is you're slacking and you really need to get them into cool media.
Well, I did suggest that she watch Lord of the Rings, and then she said, "Okay, I'm going to go and watch The Hobbit first because that's before." No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't just watch Lord of the Rings.
Read the book.
You don't need to watch The Hobbit. It's about his granddad, isn't it? The Hobbit's about his granddad. And I'm like, anyway, don't watch it.
You can if you like. Not.
I watch Lord of the Rings first, because if you watch The Hobbit first, you probably won't go on to watch The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. I mean, maybe people will like it. I don't know. Like,
maybe see The Hobbit before The Lord of the Rings, because then maybe that is but maybe that's the correct way, though, because if you watch The Lord of the Rings, you're like, wow, The Hobbit's going to be this, and then it's not. Whereas if you start with The Hobbit, you've got lower expectations, and The Lord of the Rings happens, and you're like, whoa.
I cannot condone this reckless course of action.
Well, I mean, chronologically speaking, you should just leap in with Rings of Power.
Let's just watch Lord of the Rings. I don't mind Lord of the Rings of Power. I think it's fine.
Yeah. No, I mean, it wasn't for me. Like, I quite enjoyed Galadriel being really stroppy.
The second season's way better than the first. That was.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, way better.
I'll have to give it well sometime. Anyway, we should probably talk more.
Yeah, we should
Get
probably
back on topic. Anyway,
yes,
Green Ronin, 25 years old.
Yeah. Well,
they're doing
that
anything special?
was it. I mean, they're gonna have a whole. They've got an article up talking about the kind of the origin of Green Ronin in their first ever release, which was Orc ORK exclamation mark, which was released at Origins in July 2000. Was their first ever release.
Nice.
Wow.
And then, of course, they moved on to D20 stuff when D&D 3E. Green Ronin was founded by Chris Pramus, who worked on D&D 3E before being made redundant around about 99 or 2000 or whatever, and therefore started the company, which was kind of the story of a lot of those D20 boom companies. A lot of them were, run by former TSR / Wizards of the Coast people.
Yeah. Got the Christmas redundancy present and then said, fine, I'll start my own company.
Yeah,
basically. Just looking at what we've got listed for Green Ronin Publishing, they've done stuff like Mutants and Masterminds, Fantasy Age. Blue Rose Gaming, that's very cool.
Yeah, they do The Expanse.
Yeah, if you've got Aging, it's their fault or their responsibility. Sorry. 2 versions.
Yeah, they've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So
Valiant Adventures there, which is a comic book line.
Didn't they used to do Exalted, or am I confused?
I don't think so.
Okay, it must be someone else then. I thought they did Exalted. All right, must be someone else. All right.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, what was that? All right. What other news we got? Give me some news.
For fans of Pratchett, there is a game that is doing a small homage. It's called The Night Watch. Originally put in Portuguese. There is a fairly good English translation. The whole conceit is you're a member of the Night Watch. There will be dilemmas, problems, mysteries to solve, and occasionally the captain of the Day Watch will come along and be annoying and will interfere, or sometimes will try and poach you for the Day Watch. Obviously, if you join the Day Watch, your character is then permanently retired from the game because you've got like a respectable job now. But if you refuse the offer, then things get much worse for you on the Night Watch. So yeah, it's quite interesting. Yeah,
that does sound fun.
Yeah. Available on itch.io, as I recall.
So I'm seeing something. Who put this on it? What's this Guide to Sabotage? Who can talk about that? Because I don't know what that is.
Oh, yeah. So, Second World War, the Office of Secret Services, the OSS.
Yep.
People are attributing it to CIA, but CIA is like 25 years old, mate. So, or 45 years.
That's 25 as well.
No, it's not.
That's
25.
right.
It's older now. It's older now. It's 45. My bad.
Yeah.
But still, the CIA was not a thing at that time. So they put together a little guide to ways you can sabotage places and not get caught. So I thought that was quite an interesting game resource. A variety of ways.
If we talk about this, are we going to get put on some kind of watch list?
I mean, it's the American government releasing it, so
maybe it's a trap to see who reads it.
Office of Strategic Services. There we go. That's my bad. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's got some quite cool things, which I'm a big fan of. Very stupid NPCs. So this has got some chef's kiss way to impede organizational efforts by doing things like asking for repeated questions. I feel that could really shine in a role-playing game where you're doing things about sabotage to see better outside my usual Battlecry, which is why I recommend it, because you are then left with, is this NPC as stupid as we think they are they actually sabotaging what we're doing? And how do you tell? And lots of cool stuff for that. I think there's definite inspiration to be found.
That suddenly explains much of my life.
You think you're a victim of the Office of Strategic Services doing an off on you, where they have sent people to ask you questions and make you put everything in writing before where you give them orders. Okay. Sure.
No, sure. That's really. I always find this sort of stuff really interesting.
Yeah.
I, mean, I assume. How old is it? 94.
World War
44.
II. So
1944. There we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
A timeless guide to subverting any organization with purposeful stupidity. Wow.
I mean, like you got to admit that's got a ring to it. I think it's like really inspiring because if you want to know about, I don't know, Nazis and black magic and when they collide, then Ken Height's and a load of good books. But this is some original source material about different ways for civilians to do stuff. So I thought it was quite cool. Inspiration material.
Good.
I mean, this is a perfect point from the segue because I know we all love them.
Go on. We're going to give your segue scores, like we're on Strictly Come Dancing or something. We need these little paddles that you can hold up. 7.
All right, next week. So this is a crowdfunder. I didn't put this on. I don't know, PJ, if this was a new found and shared with us.
That was me.
Yeah, do you want to talk about this? But this is about espionage, ESP-onage.
Yes.
That sounds fun.
As you will be able to tell as soon as you see the little heading, which has a smoking automatic pistol and those, I can't remember the names of the little cards, but if you've seen the start of Ghostbusters,
wavy line, square, circle,
exactly. It's like that's
electric shocks.
To test for psionic powers, which is why it's a espionage. Espionage. It's a game of psychic spies. It's progressing nicely. I think it's got a certain something to it. I'm interested to find out more when it comes out. But as a concept, I've seen a lot of stuff which makes you say, okay, this feels like this could be a very good game indeed.
Okay.
Yeah, it's powered by Fate as well, and I like Fate as a system. So. I'm intrigued by this as well.
I am interested in the whole idea of spy espionage type games because I don't think I've ever played one.
I think they're hard. For me, I think they're hard to do well.
I think they're kind of hard to do because spies typically operate alone, and when you've got a team, it's less. They're not very spy at that point, are they? They're kind of more.
I mean, it depends upon what you're trying to.
In media and fiction, I mean, James Bond operates alone. It's not. He doesn't walk around with a team of 8 people.
Well, Mission Impossible,
that's true. Yeah, they do. But they're not spies. That's just action. They're just action films. They're not spies at all. There's no espionage.
And James Bond is what now? Sorry.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
they're all Tom Cruise jumping out of planes and stuff, and
Yeah. I mean, it depends on how high action event you want to put it. Doing a Le Carre style thriller.
That's what I was more thinking. Yeah.
But I guess what you're saying is maybe you've had less Len Dayton, Berlin game, Paris set, Mexico match, all that sort of thing. That sort of you're basically just trying to find your way around. It's all about tradecraft, a very Cold War.
Yeah, a bit of Tinker Tailor, a little bit of Slow Horses, that sort of stuff could be fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, Slow Horses. Whoa.
It's so good. It is so good.
I've only read a couple of the books, and next time, what's it?
Have you watched the show?
Not yet.
Gary Oldman is he's always amazing.
I was about to say, when is he not? When does the man miss?
I've not recorded at this time. I haven't managed to persuade yet, but Severance is coming back on, which again, industrial espionage. So we're really hitting all the notes of popular culture.
Yeah, I'm watching season 2 at the moment. We're 3 episodes in now.
No spoilers. We're probably going to wait a bit because we want to do a 3-week trial sprint.
Yeah,
sprint and binge.
Exactly the same. Do a quick binge on it.
Yeah,
but I love.
I like Severance a lot.
Yeah, it's a really cool and interesting concept, and they've done something interesting with it. Because sometimes they take sci-fi things, they have a really cool concept, and they do something rubbish with it, and you're like, oh, what was the point in having this cool thing?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. For the longest time, I was vaguely interested in it because it sounded interesting, but I hadn't realised it wasn't about a company going through layoffs, which Severance
Yeah.
The name Severance suggests in a corporate setting suggests to me somebody's getting fired.
I suppose so. Yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't. I didn't realize it was like, yeah. So you got these people who volunteered to have their brains compartmentalized according to geography. I'm like, okay, that is a much more interesting proposition, and I'm here for it. So let's go.
Yeah, no, it is very, very good.
Great cast as well. Like, really surprised, but really pleased with a lot of it.
Yeah.
So it's hard to do like that sort of tense spy game because it doesn't really lend itself well to troop play. Although it could be done. I think things like the laundry system does have a certain amount to it.
And Gumshoe would probably fit it as well.
Knights, Black Agents sitting right there as well. Although that again might actually be a bit high powered for what we're trying to do.
That's a bit more special ops than spy, though, isn't it? I guess.
In my experience, although I've heard good things about esoterists, but never actually played or read it, so it's like it's what I'm scrabbling at, but not yet got.
I mean, there have been like various spy, like there was I literally cannot remember what it was called. There was a big D20 one.
There's a D20
Spycraft. I think it might have been called Spycraft.
I think I was like, are you thinking of Spycraft?
It might have been called Spycraft. Yeah.
I know
I never
some
played,
people
but I had.
Loved that because Spycraft, there's a lot in the planning stage of it and making sure you got the right gadgets and the right stuff, and then letting the plan go. So, it never drew me in, that style of role play.
There was, of course, a James Bond RPG.
Oh yes.
I'm gonna leave the screen just for a quick second. I'm going to just grab it off my shelves. Hang on a second.
Oh, is it going to be a really bad or a really good James Bond RPG, I wonder?
Where is it?
Is this like the Dallas RPG all over again? Is that what this is? Yes?
I can neither confirm nor deny. I merely have my fears and deep suspicions.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I have at this moment as well. As we watch Morris wandering through the mighty tomes of his office shelves, trying to locate it. Yeah.
Yes. As he mutters to himself, saying, I can't find it anywhere.
I can't find it.
Has it evaded capture?
It has done.
Oh!
Zing.
I do have it though. But anyway.
We believe you. Yeah.
Never played it.
Well,
never played it. It's an old like 1980s. It's a box set. It's not in great condition, my version of it. But I'm surprised there hasn't been a more recent James Bond license.
Hard to persuade them. They'd have to know what an RPG is. They'd have to agree.
Yeah.
And like they'd be like, why are you bothering with us? The amount of money you're expecting to make, what, £2-3 million?
You could say the same about Star Wars, couldn't you, or Marvel, and they've got RPGs.
But I imagine they're more nerds.
Yeah,
maybe.
They
know
may
what
well
an
know.
RPG is.
Yeah, it's whether Barbara Broccoli is a nerd and knows what an RPG is, I guess.
Yeah, and well, she might well do, or she might think that maybe it's got too much sex and violence for games that she might see as being for children.
That's true. Yeah, some people do think RPGs are for children, and they can be, but they're not always. In the same way that films can be for children, but not necessarily.
There are films for children.
Yes.
No, they're small humans. You may have seen them around sometime.
No.
Well, we keep getting the role players from Russ.
But how do the children pay for it?
Yeah. Oh, hitting that zeitgeist super hard.
Oh, I know. They're chimney sweeps and they go down the mines. That's how they work.
No, chimney sweeps don't go down.
No, and they go down the mines. That was two separate professions I thought of for children.
They have to have jobs.
I thought,
yes.
Down the mines or up a chimney.
I thought you were just getting very confused about what chimney sweeps did.
No, we're just really leaning into
There's soot down the mines. We need to remove it.
Wow. Anyway, so earlier I was told to stop being so bleak, so maybe we should move on.
Look, the children.
All right, let's move on to the Dark Tower.
Oh,
the Dark Tower.
Yeah,
a tower that is dark.
Well, yes, yeah. So this was a classic D&D adventure from like the 1980s, but it was a third-party D&D adventure at the time, published by Judges Guild. Unofficial. And this is before there was any licensing and stuff, so there was always a bit of are they allowed to do this, are they not, sort of thing going on at the time. But Judges Guild used to produce stuff that was compatible with D&D.
Yeah,
And TSR wasn't delighted about this. Yes. So this particular adventure was, I think, her first adventure for them. And it's kind of when you get those sort of like top D&D. I think Dungeon Magazine did a top like 50 D&D adventures of all time, and this was the only non-TSR / Wizards adventure to get into that list.
Oh wow, okay.
The only one. It was in there about like number 7 as well. It was quite high in the list, I think. I can't remember offhand. But this came out, 1979, 1980, somewhere around there. And it's getting a reboot. Not a reboot, a sort of
reissue.
Goodman Games do these.
They do like conversion. They do like sort of prints or reprints of first edition, or well, not first edition, but BX and advanced D&D.
Yeah,
together
like
with
5e versions of them.
Yeah.
Original something revisited or something like that. They've got a name. I honestly can't remember what the name of the line is, but original something I don't know. Anyway, this is going to be like, they're calling it like a deluxe director's cut treatment, and they've got a 5e version, and they've got one for Dungeon Crawl Classics, which is their in-house system, which is very popular.
Yes.
And I think this is fascinating. I've never played the original. I don't have the original. I think I might pick this up.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Because the phrase how do you pronounce the word jackeasing? An adventure. Jackeasing an adventure is refers to a type of adventure design.
Yeah,
which allows multiple approaches and vectors towards how you play through the adventure. Yeah. Which was kind of, these days you kind of think, oh yeah, they all do that these days, but at the time it was a new thing. It was and she basically invented that kind of. Yeah,
I mean, it's one of those good ideas which I really like, because after you've heard it, you're like, well, that's really obvious.
Yeah, it's seminal, I guess.
No one was doing it.
Yeah.
Also did a lot of it with Quake and so forth. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is like a box set. So you get a book which is like, it's a slipcase set. You get this book which is like the original thing as it was in 1979. Which is like, I think it's like 70 odd pages or something. I can't remember, something like that. It's not tiny. It's quite a sizable, but still a booklet kind of format, which is the format adventures were back then. So you got the original one, then you got a second one, which is the Dungeon Crawl Classics one, or I assume in the 5e version, in a second book.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you got a third book which expands it and adds 3 extra adventures, which basically continue on from the original. Right.
Okay, that sounds pretty interesting.
Well, someone in the chat has it and says it is really good. So
nice. For listeners at home, if you're not sure what to expect, on the front cover, it's got one of those classic dioramas. In this case, we have a crocodile-headed. I don't know, I've got a priest vibe from them, but I could be wrong. Who's holding an absolutely enormous falchion-style, vaguely curved, sort of a hook-nosed sword, and they've got like an Egyptian pharaoh in the background, and another couple of grizzled-looking men with beards looking on, wearing various sorts of hats. So
yeah. I mean, the story is about a cult devoted to the worship of the snake god Set.
Right.
So that's the basic premise of the adventure.
Yeah. That is definitely a crocodile on the front.
Crocodile or Velociraptor?
It looks a bit, I would have said crocodile, and I think a crocodile head was the classic Egyptian thing, like they had lots of humanoid animal head things.
Yeah, of course, Velociraptors didn't exist in 1979.
Well, I'm saying crocodile rather than alligator, because its nose is a bit pointier. It's not round enough to satisfy my standards for crocodileness.
Yeah.
Well, the main way you can tell the difference between crocodiles and alligators is if you'll see them later or see them in a while. That's the main difference.
Very true.
Yes.
That joke landed well.
It was okay. It was fun.
I enjoyed it.
Good.
I enjoyed it on the inside.
Okay. All right. Well, I contributed to this segment. There we go.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd probably I'd probably want to do this with Dungeon Crawl Classics, to be honest.
I've never played Dungeon Crawl Classics.
Have you not?
I feel like I should. I feel like I should, just because it's kind of
give it a whirl.
Yeah.
It's got some funny dice.
I feel like I should just for my own education, basically.
Yeah. D16s, D32s.
Yes, yeah.
Lookiness. And yeah, it's kind of got that OSR vibe, so spells can malfunction and so forth. And I feel that would be maybe more exciting.
And it's got a funnel system for character creation, hasn't it?
It's one of the ones that has a funnel system, yes.
Yeah.
And like 5e, then you're a bit rubbish until you get really hard. So, but yeah, it might be worth looking to see how they balance it, because it's going to. Because if you take a character from 1 to 5 in DCC, it's not that big a difference. You take it from 1 to 5 in D&D, you got like seriously.
You've probably gone from 0 to hero, yeah.
Yeah, like very much,
Yeah. All right. Is it time to talk about the monster manual? The manual of monsters?
Could we maybe have a small break to refresh
have
our
a quick break if you like?
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, let's have a break for 8 minutes, because that's how long the video is. We'll see you in 8 minutes.
All right.
All right.
Tabletop role-playing news. We aim to amuse and we aim to enthuse. And Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG.
We're back. And guess what I found during the break?
The
James
dog.
Bond RPG.
James Bond RPG. Look at that. It's quite a heavy box set as well. There's a load of stuff in here. Let's have a look at it. It's a big, quite a thick rule book. Quite a solid rule book.
Right.
We've got a whole bunch of threading locations in another big solid rule book.
Goodness, yes.
And then we got a bunch of character sheets and, you know, pretty old school black and white kind of character sheets and stuff. And a little booklet here of a little booklet. Oh, a games and parts price list.
Oh, good to know.
A little catalogue from the company.
Do you think you can still order that?
Shall I try it? This is some Avalon Hill. Shall I give it a try?
Mm.
See what happens.
Right now.
I don't think the phone number will still work for a start, but you go.
Is there a fax number maybe?
Yes, I can fax my order to them.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
You know what else I found? Right next to it.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones RPG. Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's zooming in on his face because your camera thought it was a face.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a face. It's not wrong.
Yeah. Well, this is what I just look what's in this. Whoa. So this has got right on top. I've got a whole bunch of big little geometric shape pieces which fit together for something.
Ooh.
Okay. Looks maybe like a ziggurat or something.
We've got a map. Fold out
Oh,
map.
okay.
One of the world.
Oh, good.
Nice. It's great as long as you only want to go right.
There's a grid.
Yeah.
And then I've got this looks to be like a GM screen.
Okay. Hard to say. It's all moving very quickly.
Oh,
Yes. The camera's trying to auto zoom and keep up with things. And
GM screen. There we go.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
That's
doesn't fit on the screen, but there we go.
yeah. Oh, that's pretty standard. What's the picture look like, Russ? Come on, man.
Can you see it? I can't hold it back much further without actually putting it right in my face.
Okay. So it's sort of a triptych with like I don't know, maybe Cairo and some tall forests somewhere, and is that like what's the thing on the right?
your camera is well.
Yeah, my webcam is just going to zoom me all over the place.
Yeah, webcam's got the attention span of your dogs. It's like a shiny thing. Oh, over there.
Yeah, it looks like basically 3 different locations. So we've got like a forest on the left, then we've got a town in the middle, and then we've got looks like a temple of some kind on the right.
Okay. Classic Indiana Jones locations.
Yes.
Very Indiana Jones stuff. And then we have a rule book. Indiana Jones RPG rulebook.
These
Makes
are
sense.
quite. All of these rule books and books you've been holding up, they're quite beefy. It feels like. I mean, what were we saying about 200, 300 pages?
No. Rulebook with that page number. Yeah, about 70 pages. That.
Is that okay? It looks bigger on camera.
Just a thick piece of stock.
The camera adds 200 pages.
Pamphlets and rule summaries and character sheets and NPCs and things.
Nice.
It's a good quality starter box set with a lot of stuff in it, you know.
A couple of dice. Loads of tokens, like little stand-up standees. Loads of them. And a role-playing game RPGA Association booklet. If you wish to join the RPGA, the Role-Playing Game Association.
Oh,
is that still a thing?
Oh. It's the kind of the precursor to Adventure Guild and stuff like that. It was organised play.
Got it.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, there we go. And that's the Indiana Jones box set, which is no longer available. So if you're interested, tough.
Yeah. I'll sell it to you for $1 million.
Hey, if you're Diana Jones ward and you wish to set fire to it, then don't. Morris will be very sad.
I could encase it in a small period and make my own Indiana Jones ward.
You could do an Indiana Jones because you've got the whole word. If you
could do the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's that pesky copyright.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we talk about the Dungeons and Dragons 2025 Monster Manual that has been released to friendly local gaming stores in North America just this week.
And on D&D Beyond.
And beyond the D&D.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you know there's already errata for it?
Yeah, that makes sense as someone who publishes.
Yeah.
I know for other people that don't, they're like, what? It's just come out. But like the time between you sending files, getting it printed, getting it in stores, doing that is months and months and months in which and this
I'm just surprised this
is
is
printed.
been published before it goes on mainstream release though. Because it's not going to hit mainstream release until the 18th. Yeah, so the errata is actually out pre-release. But still, it's not a lot of errata anyway. It's about, they've got like 15 to 20 stat blocks just with a couple of little things like in the spell casting section, 1 per day changed to 1 per day each. Changed to Balar's hit points to 287. Just little bits and pieces like that.
Yeah, I mean,
changes.
I don't really have that strong opinions about it, to be honest. I'm like, yeah, a project this size, yeah. I mean, that's not a very controversial YouTube clickbait opinion. I should really change that up for to get more views. But that is what I think about it.
I mean, if that's all the errata the book's got, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because books tend to have a lot more than that. Still,
and I know they are a bigger company, so they do have more resources and more people looking through things, but still.
Yeah. Well, you know your favourite topic in the entire world, Jess?
Yes.
The favouriteest thing of all.
Yes.
What's the Baldur's Gate 3 news?
There's a person in there called Astarion, apparently.
Indeed. He looks like this.
Person,
so Astarion, for those who somehow have managed to avoid
the one on the right or the left?
He is the twink vampire in Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay. Yes. Those who are listening, what we're looking at is a lovely picture of Astarion, who is a tall, angular, elven-looking chap, very pale skin, white hair, which is kind of wavy. Has a very nice doublet.
He looks a lot like a Twilight.
He looks like a Twilight.
Oh, okay. Have you seen Twilight?
I've seen.
I mean,
yeah, it shows.
Like, there's some resemblance to the 2008, 2005 movie with Blokey being vague. I mean, sure, he's like pale and like vaguely haunted looking. Could do with a good burger or something. I don't know, but yeah, sure, why not? So that's what he looks like. Stood next to Karlak, who, in case you're wondering, is a tiefling barbarian, which I'm just going to shorthand as Muscle Mommy, and we should move on. I'm getting nods here.
Yes,
if it's listening at home, they're like, yes, this is a good description. Let's go.
Well, anyway, the reason I brought up Astarion in the Monster Manual segment of the show is because Astarion has a surprise cameo appearance. He had one in the Player's Handbook.
Okay.
Yes.
And there is one in the Monster Manual.
Wow, that's rogues for you. They just appear in places they're not supposed to.
Yeah. So apparently it's a bit of a stealth one because there's a flavor quote. And the quote reads, "Darling, you are simply delicious."
I knew it was going to be with the word darling in, but yeah, all right, crack on.
And it says that Astarion is a vampire spawn.
These things are true.
Okay, yes. I believe you.
Legit.
I have some other Baldur's Gate 3 news for the week.
Oh, good.
Stay on.
Next Tuesday.
I am so looking forward to this.
The three of us, Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG talk, will be playing Baldur's Gate 3 live on the internet.
Yes.
So that'll be Tuesday, which is 6 p.m. GMT, which is 1 p.m. Eastern, I believe.
Yes, 5 hours, yeah.
So we will be playing that. I played through some last week because the condition Russ gave was that he did not want to play what he's played again. So I've played through up to the Druid's Grove, if you know the game. If not, we'll do a quick recap at the top of the stream so you'll know what's going on.
I definitely don't want to play the Druid's bit again.
Well, I've done that for you. Don't worry.
I hated the druid bit.
I
Did
understand.
not like the druid bit.
I understand.
Really?
That's why I've done it.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's been done. So I picked up a few things. I have made my character. I have made a lovely pink-haired rogue called Neve. And Morris and PJ have yet to create their characters. But that will be on Tuesday.
What were you thinking, PJ? I'm thinking wizard.
Oh, I mean, I'll play a fighter, battle master for preference.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, Jess has promised me it is possible for me to have a pointy hat, which is
there are pointy hats. Yeah.
Pointy hats do exist. So.
Okay. So
and if we play through enough, there's a chance we could get a pet dog as well. And I thought that might motivate you.
Would it be a good boy or a naughty boy?
They are a good boy. Anyway, yeah, so that is the Baldur's Gate 3 news of the week. Astarion is in the Monster Manual and we'll be playing through next Tuesday, wherever you're watching this live. And if you're listening to the podcast, there won't be a podcast of it because that doesn't work with streaming video games. Anyway, that's me done.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, basically, next week you'll be able to talk about Baldur's Gate 3 live for 3 hours straight.
Yeah.
While playing it.
Yeah,
that's good.
I do that every week on Wednesdays anyway, because I have the Baldur's Gate 3 cocktail hour, which I play through every week. So this is just going to give me 6 hours.
Fair enough. What else we got about the Monster Round? So yeah, right. So this is a kerfuffle going around on the internet because there are no orc stat blocks in the Monster Manual. And not just orcs, other humanoid species as well don't have stat blocks.
Yes.
Like drow and things like that don't have stat blocks in the Monster Manual, which obviously they did in 2014. So the hot take on that is, orcs have been removed from the Monster Manual. That's what the internet does.
Well, no, but
I mean,
yeah, that's what people are saying. That's what the internet does. It's like find the rage bait way of presenting that, and that's.
Didn't we do that in the Monstrous Menagerie as well? Like they're in the back in the appendices because orcs are a playable character.
Yeah.
But it's not so much that. So what they've sort of said is, rather than just having one orc in the Monster Manual under the entry orc, you now essentially have 50 orcs because you've got all of the NPC stat blocks.
Yeah,
you can have a
malicious orc topping on top.
Yeah, you could have an orc assassin. Or you can have an orc pirate, or you can have an orc, you've got more stat blocks appropriate to your orc.
Or morks, as it's known online.
Yeah.
So
I'm a little bit confused. Are people not already doing this? Because I ran a really fun game for me where I was like, "Ooh, I have kobolds. Ooh, I have all these stat blocks for gladiators and knights and so forth."
I think the one criticism I would level at this approach is that because what we did I don't want to start talking about our stuff, but in Level Up we did that as well.
Yeah,
just said for all these NPC stat blocks, they can be of any species, any heritage. But we at the beginning of the thing we said for each of these main heritages, just apply these quick changes, like give them dark vision or give them this or give them that, whatever that was appropriate to the. A tiny little kind of like bullet point list of tiny little things that you do just to tweak the stat blocks, which apparently the Monster Manual has not done. So I think it would have been nice if they had done that, so that an Orc Knight wasn't identical to a Halfling Knight. But other than that, it's such a minor quibble. But
like as PJ was saying, a lot of GMs already do this because they're homebrewing and tweaking stuff anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, so it's got most of the text for kobold, but it's also got all the text for I don't know, knights, assassins, archers.
I think
makes it work.
There's a danger in just saying, there's lots of GMs already doing this, it's really obvious everyone should be doing this. It's like, but not everyone's an experienced GM, and some people might be opening this book for the first time ever. Why would it necessarily occur to them to do that if someone doesn't? It might occur to them, but if it's not in the book, it might not.
I agree, especially because D&D is the first game a lot of people play, so they're not used to other systems and how that works and things. So it's
okay, so I think having 50 orcs is probably better. than having one orc, because it's like, AC 12 has a great axe. I mean, they're pretty effective, but it gets a bit boring after the first.
I think when it comes just down to like a combat situation as well, if you're just talking about a foe, a lot of the stuff doesn't really matter. The fact that a creature has dark vision or not probably isn't going to matter that much. It might in some edge cases, but usually it's not going to matter, is it? I mean, not in most fights. So, whether they've got a bonus to detect traps or something, or things like that aren't really going to come up.
Like the elven ability to trance.
I
hope it's not going to be in combat.
To
be honest.
No, exactly.
Maybe immunity to sleep magic, sure. But like the rest of it doesn't seem likely.
Yeah. So generally speaking, I think pretty much just using a standard NPC stat block is perfectly suitable. I think you would make a couple of little tweaks, partly just for flavour, but
they got 85 more monsters stuck in there. So what are people complaining about again? That there's no entry specifically for orc.
Oh yeah, basically. But there isn't an entry specifically for human. There isn't an entry specifically for halfling. And
I'm shocked that humans have not made it into the monster manual book.
Well, they used to.
If
the biggest foe
they used to. They used to.
If the Twilight Zone taught us anything, it's that humans are often the greatest monster of all.
Indeed.
There is the Wizard has put out a document of monster conversions, which is kind of at the back of the book. It's in the appendix of the monster manual, and this is like equivalents, 2014 stat blocks and their 2015 equivalents. So, for example, the Aarakocra was in 2014. In the 2025 book, there's an Aarakocra skirmisher. So basically, what that's kind of doing is giving you permission to say, this entry isn't all Aarakocras. This is an Aarakocra skirmisher. If you want an Aarakocra knight, go to the knight entry. If you want an Aarakocra wizard, go to the mage entry in the NPC section. So I think that's kind of that's kind of going.
Well, they put 85 new monsters in, so they've been saving space. They've taken out spells and said cross-reference it, which would be much easier if you're just using like a computer as part of like their pivot to digital.
Yes.
If you're just using D&D Beyond in their ecosystem, then it'll just work for you, I imagine. It's maybe a bit harsher if you're using a book, but I
think there's some places where it won't be quite as intuitive. If you're running an older adventure and it has a reference to a drow mage, for example, according to this stat block conversion appendix, you're supposed to use the Bandit Deceiver stat block from the NPC appendix. Now, why would you think to do that? And also, that's a weird name. But putting aside the weirdness of the name, why would you wouldn't necessarily think to do that if you're looking through playing this adventure? Drow mage, quick, grab the monster manual up, isn't it? So I can see why that would be a problem.
I'd go with mage and say,
I would just go with mage. Yeah, that seems an odd choice, but.
I mean, if there's a big difference in CR, then that's a problem. But that's really a wizard issue, really.
I suppose that could be it. Like a Durgar, it just says use spy, or for a deep known, it just says use scout.
Oh, okay, wow, those are also fairly big changes. But all right.
Yeah. Lizard folk as well, just use scout. For an orc, use tough.
Oh, all right, those are. Sorry, I recognize some of these stat blocks, and I'm making the assumption that spies in 2024 are similar to the spies in 2014.
I guess, yeah.
And I'm like, but what about their ability to change into giant Durgar?
Well, that was a criticism, wasn't it? It's like if you are doing that, you are losing some of the sort of species based.
You're losing a lot of flavor. I mean,
yeah.
Well, because
drow as well. Drow have intrinsic magical abilities like fairy fire and all this sort of stuff, which obviously that would disappear as well, and that is combat related as well. So and
the old superior dark vision, which is very combat related because it means they're like, we're 120 feet away and you can't see us, but we can see you. Sucks for you.
You love dark vision, don't you? It's your favorite thing.
I mean, I've written a book to take it out, but yeah, sure.
You've written a book entitled Dark Vision and Why I Love It by PJ Coffey.
Yeah,
my favorite thing is when players tell you they have it constantly. That's the best.
That's something I personally enjoy very much because I like having to have magical fog as opposed to magical darkness.
Yeah.
As opposed to it just gets a bit dark. It's kind of scary. Yeah. You can't really see what's going on.
I have dark vision though.
That's nice. It's a magical darkness.
I have magic eyes.
Dark Vision.
Yeah, with your warlock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But anyway, that's kind of the. I said it was a kerfuffle. It's It's not really that big a deal, but people make it into a big deal, don't they?
Yeah, but no, I get it. I like you say, it would be easier if the orc bit was there to tack on to the other types. So yeah.
Anyway.
Especially because the GM book was very good at hand holding and bringing new GMs in. That would have been a nice feature for the Monster Manual.
There's a caveat to this. I don't actually have the book. Maybe it is buried in there and just no one's noticed it yet. You know,
I didn't see it mentioned in Beth's article.
I haven't read the book anyway, so probably it's not. But
Ani M. Weld, Beth Reynolds did a really deep dive into the book, and that's what I have read.
Big proper long thing.
It seemed unlikely that Beth would miss it.
Yeah.
That was my thought. I was trusting. I've not been let down before, so.
Well, you can come have a look now. You can go on D&D Beyond and read the Monster Manual right this second if you want to, or if you've got a local game store, and you're in North America.
I'm not.
You can go and pick it up.
Yes.
Yeah, I will not be probably getting it because I have lots of 5e adjacent monster books. More like, obviously Level Up, but like Tales of the Valiant, or there's what's it? Runes of Symbarim. I'm more likely to go for those because they'll bring something a bit different to make players go, "Ooh, this encounter's different," because all of those different publishers have different takes on that. So
I think my general impression on the Monster Manual is I generally like some of the directions they went in, but they didn't go quite far enough with some of them.
Yeah.
Like where they add, for example, the sort of tables of useful flavor stuff. And it's like, it is an excellent idea. I know it's an excellent idea because we did it first, but it is an excellent idea. But you've only just nodded at it rather than, you could have just done it properly and it would have been so awesome.
Yeah.
The initiative thing was nice though.
That was a very nice idea and we stole it. Yeah. I don't mind admitting that we've stolen that. But I mean, next week we're going to have Mike Shea on, who's known as Sly Flourish, who has the Monster Manual, who emailed me this week asking if he could come on and talk all about the Monster Manual because he says he has thoughts and feelings about the book.
Wow. Okay, so I'll make sure I'm not doing anything between the normal end of the podcast at 4 and 5 o'clock. Yeah. Make sure I don't have anything booked in then. Okay. Yeah. But I'm here for it. I'm actually quite excited because always has something interesting to say.
Yeah, we'll have a proper sort of Monster Manual deep dive next week.
Yes.
Okay.
That will be fun.
Nobody release anything in the next week or something. Nobody do any news. It's fine. We'll be good. We'll be good.
All right, so we'll do the deep dive into it more, but that little bit of news came out. But what other Dungeons or Dragons news do we have for this week?
Project Sigil.
Sigil.
No,
don't say it like that. Don't say it like that.
Someone pointed out that
That's why I said Sigil, because it's
Sigil, yes.
silly.
Yeah. So it's their VTT, their 3D VTT
that they're planning,
which has been demoed at various conventions. It's been in development for a couple of years now. People have seen it. There's a beta program, was it alpha or beta program, so people can actually get access to it.
Is this a screenshot that we're looking at?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And for those listening at home, it's got a certain amount of a tabletop simulator vibe, the Steam computer tabletop simulator, obviously. You've got looks like 3-4 heroic looking characters, and they're clearly on. They've lent into like sort of like a little mini on round bases, and there's a couple of like I guess spiders or ticks or something.
Spiders,
Probably spiders, I
Yeah,
would
spiders.
say,
Yeah.
because there's an absolutely enormous.
Yeah, it's a proper
I
Shelob
mean-
size spider there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's looking larger. Yeah, no, that's actually probably just a large size spider. So probably like your regular giant spider, as opposed to your giant wolf spiders. Which
No,
are
that's
probably
3x3.
You reckon
That's
that's
not
3x3
2x2. Yeah, that's 3x3.
compared to the other ones?
Well, the
which
one
is
next to it is going to be a 1x1.
fair.
So that's definitely 3x3.
Okay, yeah. So it's a
that's-
huge spider.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway,
I
as
don't know,
you can
it's-
tell, they're
it's
all
awesome.
on mini bases, so it looks like a 3D
Yeah,
environment, and it looks like you've got little non-moving miniatures. That was the style they're going for.
Yeah,
for
but
the
with animated effects.
Project Sigil.
Yeah, like you can see an animated spell effect in mid part there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So GeekWire got to go and have a look at Project Sigil.
Nice.
They went to the D&D offices, had a look at it,
Yep.
saw a presentation, and got to try it out. And there's an interesting angle, sort of like coming out that apparently some of the automation that project that the VTT did was apparently playing unfavorably with testers. Like the more stuff that got automated, the less people seem to like it.
Is that because it didn't work well, or just because it was the concept of having it automated?
Well, it's
I
people
don't
having to play the
know.
rules as written. That's
Well,
very
this-
unpopular. People don't like that.
Yeah, I mean this is all
Sorry.
the PAX Unplugged thing late last year, I think it was, when they were testing it and they were getting the feedback. So apparently this has influenced, like the project has now influenced them more from less of a sort of virtual D&D companion and more into a easy to use 3D map builder. Like it's slightly changed directions, like removing some of the automation away from it because people weren't keen on it.
Yeah, like it's if the computers take it. I mean, if the computer takes rules out your hands to help, if you like what you're running, that's fine and that's great. If you're not keen on it and you want to rule or cool it, you're gonna have a bad time because the computer's doing it for you.
Yeah.
And I guess it's starting to feel a bit more like a video game as well with that, rather than a tabletop game when it's doing all that for you. At that point, it really would start to feel a bit like you're playing Baldur's Gate, wouldn't it? If you're casting a spell, you just pressed a button, cast a spell, and it did everything, and it cast a spell and took the hit points off, and basically you're playing Baldur's Gate at that point, rather than
I guess
a very slow
a DM
version.
one. Yeah.
But I thought the whole point of this was that they wanted it to be automated, so it was like easy to sit down and play. But I guess
I think
that's
that
not
was
what people
originally,
want.
but they were getting.
Well, I mean, the problem is it's like it's a collision between people charged with implementing it who are told you have to implement the rulebook as written, and like, yeah, okay, we can do that and do that, and how people actually want to play the game, which is they want to treat a lot of the rules as optional.
Sure.
Yeah.
Take the bits you like,
Which
check
is
out the
fine.
rest you don't. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, really, like, need to have like a section where you could go through and just untick all the things. So obviously, poor encumbrance would just be like, nobody's ever ticked. Everyone just unticks me as soon as they start playing the game, because nobody likes encumbrance. Because I mean, it's easier, but for a little bit, but it's not great to try and implement on tabletop. Because then, if you introduce a new if you introduce a new object or an item, you have to work out how much it weighs. There's no time for that. It don't work. Yeah. Sorry.
It's going to be interesting to see where this goes, because they've got their D&D Beyond Maps thing.
Yeah.
It's very popular.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep up with it because I'm intrigued.
I mean, it looks pretty. It looks very pretty.
That's what I mean. It's nice, and if they have a whole load of environments and just anything that makes online play feel, and this feels a bit more like in-person play. And I know it's not going to be the same because you can't ever capture that same. But a lot of people, their only option is to play online, and I wonder if this could be a helpful tool for that.
Yeah.
Well, certainly things like having cameras, like we're doing now, that really helps with that sort of experience.
I don't think it's going to be a cheap tool. I've got a suspicion it's going to be quite a premium.
No, but it looks like a premium thing, to be honest. So I wouldn't expect to get it for free unless I was.
And that's not going to be in browser
either,
is it? That's going to be a standalone.
I mean, maybe, we don't know. It's going to depend. Like, if I was like at Wizards and had any say in the matter, I'd be like, yeah, let's make it as free as we possibly can and sell add-ons and upgrades later, but make the base game quite good.
I think the animation makes
microtransactions.
Yeah, I think the animation makes putting it in browser difficult, doesn't it?
Sure. You can have microtransactions as a way to extract value, but if you say, oh, by the way, this is the cool thing, and it's free to play, then it will cost you money, but then you'll have people coming to use your stuff because it is better than everything else.
Yeah.
So what I think is maps will be free, and this will be premium. That's what I think.
And you can buy stuff and you get invested in the ecosystem, and that is how you get them to stay. But that's not what they're going to do. They're going to charge you money for it. It's going to be a faff, and that's good news for their competitors. But yeah, that's just like
they do have shareholders to think of.
They do have shareholders to think of.
Yeah, think of the shareholders.
I will.
All right, we've got one last bit of news about Mr. Mike Mearls, who was at Wizards of the Coast until being laid off. I think it was the end of 2023 in that big round of layoffs that happened at Hasbro. Mike Mearls joined Wizards in 2005. Worked on 4E. Was one of the lead architects of 5E. And up until I think it was 2018, he'd become the creative director for D&D before being moved over to Magic the Gathering. There was a bit of controversy around that event.
Did he get banned from posting on Twitter as it was then?
Well, that's what everyone said.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, no.
Yeah. So I don't want to go into what the controversy was. Mike Mearls has said like 2 or 3 things in this big interview with Ben Riggs, who's a D&D historian, who we've talked about before on the show.
Who's also garnered controversy for his claims that Gary Gygax was pretty sexist, which is borne out by the words of Gary Gygax on.
No, that wasn't Ben Riggs. That was
that different chap.
Yeah. That was that was in the Jason Tondro in the
D&D history book.
Right,
the name of the book I can't remember exactly.
And it was meant to be an acknowledgement of like, we can enjoy these works, but we have to understand they're a product of these times, and certain people that wrote them had these views that we don't hold today. Which is fair, like when you're reading Lovecraft or something.
Oh, wow, yeah. Lovecraft, who made people at the time go, whoa, 1920s Americans are going, Lovecraft, you're being a bit racist there, HP.
Yeah, anyway. So now, but anyway.
So on the screen there, you can see that on the left is Mike Mearls, on the right, that's Ben Riggs. So they did this sort of hour and 20, it's quite a long interview. So obviously Mike hasn't been a Wizard of the Coast for a year and a bit now, I guess, year and 2 or 3 months, something like that. Is now working at Chaosium as one of their sort of like I think he's sort of like head of RPGs or something. I can't remember the exact title of his job, but something like that. It's a senior position at Chaosium, and also working on his own stuff, his own Patreon and stuff like that behind the scenes. So that's what he's doing these days. So he talked about 2 or 3 things. So one thing, he talked about the fact that D&D was now uncool again after it's kind of had its day and is now on the other side of that slope. He talks about how he was not fired from D&D despite rumors, it's like the general kind of like opinion online being that that's what happened.
Is he moonlighting at Chaosium?
Well, no, he's fired. He was not fired from D&D.
I see.
When he got moved to Magic the Gathering back in 2018 after the controversy stuff.
Right. Would you? Okay.
And the third thing was he talked a little bit about the OGL crisis and what it was like at Wizards at the time. because he was still at Wizards at the time, albeit not on D&D itself. And so we got those three topics you talked about. So I don't know, which of those 3 topics would you like to talk about first?
I kind of want to hear the context for the D&D is Uncool again, because that is a very clickbaity title and that people will have a lot of reaction to. And I'm like, do you know what? I'm sure there's context around this clip. And
So
that's what I want to know.
Like, obviously this is going to be very ageist of me. But like looking at the picture, Mike Mearls is an older white man, like 50 plus it looks like. Don't know. I'm sorry, Mike, if you're a bit older, but I don't mean to be harsh or cruel.
So you're going to say he doesn't know what's cool. Okay, so my response to that is he doesn't need to.
Cool, to be fair, I'm not an arbitrary cool. I'm too old.
Okay,
I mean,
but what he means by that is it's not popular and on the zeitgeist anymore, and they know that because they're selling it, and they know what people. Do you know what I mean? It's like you don't have to be cool to have eyes and know that the kids really like it. That's what he's kind of saying.
I mean, as far as I can tell, people still really like D&D.
Yeah. Well, we can agree or disagree with the conclusion. I just think just saying he doesn't know what's cool or not is.
I always feel
a distraction.
I found it a weird thing to kind of talk about as well, because like the majority of people I know that play TTRPGs or D&D aren't worried about being cool. No one's played
we're getting hung up on the word cool. Okay, I mean, I
am getting hung up. I am. That's why. That is why.
Let's say he should have used the word popular rather than cool.
Yeah. Okay.
If you listen to what he's saying, that's what he's talking about.
That's what I was asking, because I said it's a very clickbaity title, and I wanted to understand the context behind it.
Yeah. Well, okay. So,
am I meant to understand that D&D is unpopular?
I mean, I'll tell you if you give me a chance.
I'm not trying to be
about the word cool.
I'm just engaging with words and that they have meaning.
I'm going to explain it to you if you let me.
No, we don't want you to. On this news show, we don't want to know the news. Or
no context.
We just want to get clickbait things and have big emotional reactions to them, because that's how you get a cool or popular podcast.
Yeah. So, what it started, he says, my theory is that when you look back at the OGL, by which he means the OGL crisis, because that's what he was talking about at the time, the real impact of it was that it made D&D uncool again. And then he said that back then you had Joe Manganiello and other celebrities were all openly talking about playing D&D, and it was all kind of in the sort of zeitgeist of sort of Hollywood culture and all this sort of stuff was all going on. And then his opinion is that the OGL crisis took that and this concept that D&D was interesting, creative, fun, and different, and kind of sundered it, is the word he used.
Split it.
And he doesn't know that it could ever be put back together again at this point. So that's what he's saying.
That was the context I wanted beyond the it's not cool, because
I mean, I was trying to get to that.
I know. I'm sorry. But
so he says it's like, you know, the phrase "the mandate of heaven."
Yeah,
I don't.
He says I think fundamentally what happened that Wizards has lost the mandate of heaven, and I don't see them even trying to get it back.
Would you like the context, Jessica?
Yeah, what's the mandate of heaven? I think I'm understanding from context clues, but just in case the listener doesn't know, not me.
Well, indeed, it's like, you know, it's not necessarily a thing. I know about it because of my interests. I might be getting it wrong, but to the best of my understanding, if you're the Emperor of China, you have the mandate of heaven. If you stop being the Emperor of China because someone's kicked you out, actually you have lost the mandate of heaven, and they have the mandate of heaven, unless you then get it back, unless you get thrown back, in which case you clearly had the mandate of heaven.
Divine right of kings, sort of thing.
Okay, got it.
It's very flexible concept.
Yeah.
No, I get it. That made sense from the context. And in which case I do kind of agree with him a bit, because I think, like you say, D&D seemed like this fun, cool thing, but now maybe not in the general mainstream public as much, but definitely within RPG communities, there seem a bit of, Wizards of the Coast, corporate overlords. There's this kind of energy around the brand.
There is that sort of background to I mean, you know, he kind of says like you know, whether or not this is the best player's handbook ever written, this new 2025 one, You know, you can argue whether it is or it isn't, but whether or not it is, it says that, like, just generally, there isn't this groundswell of support and excitement like there was before when 5e first came out, or even when 3e came out. You know, it's just not there. Nobody seems that excited about it. I mean, people are buying it, and some people are playing it, some people aren't. But it's not kind of set D&D on fire in any way.
Well, they've been working hard to make sure it's not a new edition.
Yeah, there is that. Yeah,
and like it's so hard to know what the messaging is, what's new about it. Like, and a lot of it that's come out, the main things I've been hearing about are people complaining because it's like, oh, they've changed our spells, we're going to put them back. It's going to take 180 man hours to do that, and then they rolled it back, and and it's like with the OGL thing. There are a lot of people who basically wanted to work at Wizards of the Coast, who, as part of Hasbro, who would never say anything bad about it, and now they're like, actually, no, I'm just going to talk smack now.
So that is what he means when he says D&D is uncool. So that's you know, when you add the context, you sort of understand where he's coming from there.
Yeah, I do know.
No.
I don't know whether I agree or not. Like, because I feel like we exist in a bubble, and the general public probably is unaware of and doesn't care about this stuff.
Yeah.
So
this is true. But a lot of influencers and games masters are on the edges or inside the bubble, and they game designers, and we have views.
Yeah, I know, I agree. I actually made this point online the other day that someone just said, well, it doesn't really matter because, you know, we're not representative of the entire D&D community. We're just like 0.01% of it. So it doesn't really matter what we think. And I was thinking, but it does, because, and I hate the word influencer because it's kind of tarnished with all this sort of like, there's a side to it.
And loud voices.
But opinion makers make, I don't know, but
opinion makers,
the people who are deep in the weeds online about D&D and know about this stuff are the people who are running game clubs, making YouTube videos and podcasts, having websites. Who are the GMs and the GMs who are buying the books? Who are, you know, that's who those people are. So if that group of people has strong feelings about something, it is going to filter through.
Yeah.
And you know, like 2014, it's like, oh my god, this is not 4th edition. It's got a lot of second ed vibes to it. It's really easy to run. Yeah. Comparatively to 3rd ed, say. Maybe. Yeah. Let's go. Back to form, let's go. And then OGL Crisis, where it's like, we're a giant corporation and we're just going to make people pay through the nose for stuff. For stuff that we gone back on their promise of over 20 years, man. It's like, wow.
Well, talking about that OGL Crisis then, because he did talk about that, so we can also talk about that a little. Let me just
I feel like that's a big proximate clause.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. I mean, not just the OGL Crisis. There are other things as well.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a laundry list, but still.
So he talks about like Ben Riggs asked him, you know, what was it like within the walls of Wizards during the whole OGL fiasco?
Wow.
I can but imagine.
So Mike Mearls says, like, people took it very, very seriously. And he's like, I don't know if anyone at Wizards has ever publicly said anything or talked about it, but he said it was genuinely surprising to people, the backlash. I know. I don't see how it would be, but they were actually surprised by the backlash.
Well, that's good to know. Okay.
So their point of view was, it's 2020. Business was getting massive. Like the blowing up is the term he used. And there's all this potential for licensing and stuff. And he says their internal conversations were sort of like, you know, what if Lucasfilm shows up and they want to make a Star Wars D&D game and sell a bajillion copies of it, and they could license it for us and we could get 10% of that or whatever, but they go, oh, we don't actually need to work with you, we can get everything we have just by going and using this open game license. So their worry was massive Disney, Facebook making a sort of D&D metaverse thing and things like that, like really, really big business stuff, just coming along and just like doing stuff and not cutting wizards in. That was where it came from. It's not. I don't think it was implemented well.
They're like, we've got too much money. We need to get rid of some of this. All right, let's get into TTRPGs. That'll shrink the money pile.
Well, you know.
Fair enough.
It's not like there haven't been Star Wars RPGs before.
Yeah.
There is one at the moment, in fact.
There's at least a couple, and they've been very good.
It's not like they don't do these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of where they were coming from, and I think they just kind of misread the situation. And they sent out this license, and he says they sent out this license to people with the idea of getting feedback. Now, this is an interesting claim because that license, and you remember it got leaked. And you read it. It included like a thing for you to agree and all sorts of stuff. It didn't look like a request for feedback. It looked like here's the license. Will you sign it?
Yeah.
What was leaked?
And it was all under NDAs, and I remember because I'd like to think it's my Irish heritage. I like to hold my grudges that they tried to grab you personally and say, "Hey, you should talk to us."
Well, me and many. I was one of many.
But
you are many.
Couldn't sign the NDA because you were like, "Well, we're a news site, and that's
Well, the schedules did not align, so Ian World was not under an NDA to talk about this sort of thing, which is probably a good thing.
No, but I realised I needed to be able to be free to talk about this. Just because of what I do for a living. So
I know, right?
I couldn't sign that NDA. But so apparently, like when Wizards sent it out for feedback, they were actually sincere when they say that's what it. I mean, this is not me saying that. That's what.
Mike Miles claims.
And then they kind of like felt that they'd been stabbed in the face when it got leaked. They got really upset about it. Apparently, it was like that wasn't intended for public thing. We sent it out for feedback, and was it? It was the Roll for Combat YouTube channel, I believe, leaked it, and then of course, like a month later or a few weeks later, Lynn Cadega picked it up and
did their piece on it. Yeah.
Where were they working? IO9 was it IO9 at the time?
It was IO9.
Yeah. So they sent out like the OGL in December for feedback, and then within in January, as he says, like Linkadea was writing articles about it. So they got leaked. Not just the Roll for Combat was sent a copy, I think, in a sort of you're a partner. So we're sending you a copy of it. So that came from Wizards directly, and then they went and just leaked it all over their YouTube channel, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. Whereas Linkadega was leaked it was leaked to Linkadega by someone else. Wizards didn't send it to them. So
leaks is what we're saying.
Yeah. And as you said, to put it in context, and this is something the Wizards totally didn't see at the time. The context was that it just announced a new edition. And people were thinking about 4th edition and the GSL at the time, which is another kind of topic, but that was another big licensing backfire, when they tried to move on from the OGL with 4th edition as well. And it kind of went to this space, if you're trying to do a new version of D&D that can cut us out, and it didn't feel like, hey, can you give us feedback? It felt more like, this is the deal, take it or leave it. It's kind of how it felt.
Yes.
And that's what it looked like. I gotta say, that is what it looked like.
I would have loved to give it more charitable reading, but
I think it's a little naive of Wizards to think it would be perceived that way. Even if I'm gonna take it on faith and say that wasn't the intention. But the scale they are and how much power they have, it's like you got to know how that comes across. It's like, hey, do you want this contract? You want to sign it? You don't have to. It's for feedback. But if somebody with that much power over you, it's like if your boss asks you to do a favor or something, they haven't said, "Oh, I'm going to fire you if you don't." But there's like and there's a power imbalance there that makes you think, and that's the same with Wizards and this situation, the OGL. So I think it was, if taking on faith what Mike is saying, I think that was very naive and not very considerate of them.
There's also a big element of you're party to a contract, such as the OGL, and rather than taking the words of the contract, you are taking the words of what the contract writer is telling you it's supposed to mean, and that is not how contracts work. It's what's on the paper. So when the contract writer is saying, "Oh no, it's actually it is rescindable," it's like, "No, it is not, because that is not what it says." And contracts are always kind of read in favour of the person who didn't write it.
We should not relitigate the OGL.
Sure,
Sorry.
But my kind of point was, you were sort of saying someone with power is saying that to you, is what Jess was just saying.
Yeah.
And what you got is someone with power is saying, yes, your reading of this contract is incorrect. The actual words that you're looking at don't mean what you think they mean. Yes, it can be rescinded. And someone with power is saying that to you. You just go, yeah, okay. Rather than saying, no, that's not what it says. It is, like you say, a power imbalance situation.
Yeah, I mean, because everyone goes with the OGL because, like you've always said, the original context was nobody wanted to be sued. No one's got money for lawyers.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's constant lawsuit. So it's like the OGL was the big peace treaty, and then just a unilateral renegotiation was not okay.
Yeah, but you know what the tipping point was? So apparently Chris Cox really was kind of like quite well behind this whole new OGL when he was head of Wizards before he got promoted to head of Hasbro.
Right. Okay.
And the tipping point for him, apparently, and this very much is hearsay. So basically, Ben Riggs says the story I've heard, and Mike Mearls doesn't contradict it. So take it, with a grain of salt. But the story, Ben says, the story I've heard is the tipping point was Solasta, Crown of the Magister. That was the tipping point for Chris Cox, apparently. And people were going, this is the best video, because this was before Baldur's Gate 3 had come out. And people were saying, this is the press was all like, this is the best video game ever made. The best D&D video game ever made, I mean. This is the best D&D video game ever made. And the problem was, it wasn't D&D.
Well, it couldn't be D&D.
Well, yeah, that was the tipping point where people were going, this is the best D&D video game ever made. And it's not D&D. It was the tipping point for Chris Cox.
Right,
which is where tipped him over the edge to sort of saying, we need this OGL. This OGL is a problem for us rather than a...
yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, because it's an excellent version.
And
I enjoy it a lot.
It does use the OGL,
Yeah. Would it have been better if they'd been able to have more use of it? Maybe. Certainly, Tactical Studios is not huge. The people who make Celeste, is not huge.
It's a French game, isn't it? French.
Yeah, French company. Yeah, it's the voice acting is very bad. It was very bad. And they got Celeste 2 on the way out, so excited about that. But so I guess their worries would be like, what if BioWare just turned around and said, "Oh, D&D, let's knock something out, bam." And then they've got an absolutely enormous property, an IP.
I guess that is exactly the worry. But it's not like BioWare can't just turn around and make something else equally popular.
Yeah, I think there's a desire from Wizards to own RPGs, but you can't own RPGs because they're storytelling games and people own the games. Like, you can license parts of it and do things, but
you can license the brand. You can own the brand. You can't own the hobby.
That's the thing. And I think and I get it. They are a big player in the industry, and people use D&D and TTRPG interchangeably, so it makes it seem like people are using their stuff. But a lot of times people say it's a D&D thing, they mean it's a tabletop RPG inspired thing.
I get people come in and ask to play D&D, and
what sort of D&D would you like?
We got this cool
Star Wars D&D.
Basically, because it's become like Hoover and vacuum cleaners. Hoover is a brand, but
Kleenex,
it's been so popular.
Xerox, all that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
The takeaway from that is Wizards did take it very seriously and were caught on the back foot because they weren't expecting it to be leaked, and they weren't expecting that kind of visceral reaction to it either.
That's fair. I believe that. I absolutely do. From their reaction, I think they were surprised.
They weren't expecting it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah. But it all worked out in the end, and it's in the Creative Commons now, and the OGL is effectively dead. So they managed to do that anyway.
Yeah.
It's just that they didn't have to actually like rescind it. They just had to get poisoned to the fact that no one would ever touch it again. Which is equivalent, pretty much.
Well, yeah, I suppose it's just
people are too scared to touch it. People don't trust it now.
Well, yeah, rightly so. But but was it worth it because they just lost so much goodwill?
Well, yeah, that's the old uncool thing we were talking about earlier, though, isn't it? You know,
I mean, they could have like released a 6th edition, like they have, but just like changed it. But it's just like they really lost touch with the people that they rely on to produce a lot of their content.
So I don't have it in front of me. It was in this long interview, and I transcribed those 3 bits, and I didn't transcribe this bit, so I don't have it in front of me. And obviously, it would require scrubbing through the interview to find it again. There is a bit where he talked about how successful. He calls it 5.5, interestingly, which suggests to me that at the time, internally, they must have been calling it 5.5, because otherwise, why would he be? But, or maybe not. Maybe that's just how he.
Maybe that's him, yeah.
Maybe, who knows? But the language being used to say how successful 5e is, he says, isn't necessarily proof that it is as successful as it sounds like it's saying. They're sort of saying things like, I really wish I had that bit of the video in front of me right now. I'm really just trying to remember it, and I haven't got the transcription in front of me. So basically, he's saying like 5.5, and bear in mind, he was gone from Wizards before 5.5 was released. So this is not stuff that he is talking about personally, and I don't know whether people at Wizards talk to him about this stuff or not, but this is his opinion. This obviously is his opinion, his take on it from now from an external point of view. It's important to say that this isn't like insider information. This is but it sounds like he doesn't think that 5.5 is doing nearly as well as the sort of like verbiage coming out of Wizards seems to imply.
Who can say sales figures, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's really hard to tell, I guess.
I mean, we can but speculate, because they probably have their own internal goals for what they wanted it to do, and they're not going to share those, are they?
Well, it's just their phrase was, it was the Player's Handbook or something was the fastest selling Player's Handbook ever. She says in terms of content of what they're saying, that doesn't actually mean anything directly unless you put some context to it. You know, but they also said, I believe, that they sold more copies of it in like 3 months than the 2014 Player's Handbook in a year or something like that. A year. Yeah, I can't remember what.
But if the market is 100 times bigger, like just because I think I'm probably more, to be fair, but let's say it's 100 times bigger than it was then that's actually that would be a big underperformance. Like,
but that wouldn't make what they're saying untrue, though. So
no, it's just a framing and the lack of context. And it's like so like good for them. You sold it. Also,
what does a copy of the Player's Handbook mean? Does it mean a hardcover book in your hands? Does it include D&D Beyond? Does it or doesn't it? I don't know. I mean, they didn't specifically say we've sold that many hardcovers.
If they're selling it on D&D Beyond, then I'll say that's legit. That's a sale. Sale's a sale. You're paying money for it. Somebody is reading your book.
Yeah.
I certainly would count digital sales.
And of course, the profit margin on a digital sale was so much higher as well.
Yeah. I mean, and it does make it. But if they are counting digital sales as well, because basically there were no digital sales to PHB from 2014, were there? That was not a thing.
No, there were no PDFs, nothing. No, you could only get the hardcover.
Oh, it's complicated though. We're not really comparing apples with apples though, because
No.
the ecosystem has massively changed. As you say, huge amount more players, but a lot of them are only online only.
Yeah,
And maybe that's the point Mike was making. It says it's the
Mm.
fastest selling, but what does that mean, and what's the comparison point?
Without actual numbers, you can't really
and
dig into that, can you?
Even with numbers, hard to analyze.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, this all kind of ties into a picture sort of thing. So the various things you're saying, it's Uncool now. The OGL crisis, is it selling as much as perhaps it's being made out to be, or not? I don't even know whether that's true. And also, this is a person that I'm not saying that Mike Mearls at all. I'm not saying the slightest that Mike Mearls, isn't being 100% transparent and honest. But maybe there is a bias there because he was let go. I don't know.
He wasn't working for the D&D side of things at the time. He'd been moved over to Magic, so it's not like he had his finger on the pulse. And he hasn't been working for Hasbro for about a year and a bit, something like that. So
exactly.
He's entitled to his opinions.
Yeah, of course.
And
as we all are.
They may well be accurate. We don't know, but we can't know. But it's interesting to think about. But without, in the absence of hard data, we can't really say too much.
No.
But I do feel, and this is just my gut perception, that there may be something to it, because if they had amazing sales figures, we would know what they were.
Yeah.
But of course, it's not done yet. Maybe, don't know. Give it a year, and then they'll have like a basis for comparison. So
I mean, however well it's doing or not doing, it's still doing very well and is selling like 10 times as many as the next highest.
I mean, any of us would be happy if we had those sales. I'm sure
if we had 1% of those sales,
No, if I had 1% of those sales, I'd be like,
it would be a good day.
It would be a very good day. I'd be like, damn, I need to do an offset print run. Let's go.
Anyhow.
So the last thing he talked about.
Oh, okay.
When you're saying I was not fired from D&D. So.
Oh, yes.
So, obviously in 2018, he was moved from D&D to Magic. And this was following a controversy. And I don't really want to go into the specifics of the controversy, but it involved his investigation of something and how that was handled.
Okay.
Oh,
and yeah. So it's not that he was personally involved in any sort of like direct wrongdoing. It's how he handled the investigation into it.
Okay.
He was investigating someone else.
Got it.
But the general opinion was he kind of disappeared off Twitter. He still had an account but stopped using it and moved over to the Magic the Gathering team. And everyone said, right, what's happened is Wizards has moved him off D&D and banned him from using Twitter.
And that is just people online speculating that was saying that. Yeah.
So his version of this is very different.
Okay.
So one is he stopped using Twitter because it became quite toxic to him.
I believe that.
And so why would he still use it? Which I can believe that. Yeah. It wouldn't be a pleasant experience, whether you're right or wrong. It's still not an experience you would choose to be in.
Toxic for him personally.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
People being mean to him on a regular basis.
And I 100% believe that of Twitter as a platform, and there's not really regulation to prevent yourself seeing that.
Yeah. No.
But what you're saying, he was not fired from D&D. I was not fired from D&D, and he's saying this is 4 or 5 years ago. But he says what happened was he'd been working on some digital tools for D&D at the time.
Okay.
And he says Wizard of the Coast wanted to go in a direction with those digital tools that he didn't agree with. He wanted to make DM tools, and they were more about player stuff.
Traditionally, that makes sense. Yeah.
So he wanted to make tools for D&D, and he was kind of like, there was this job opportunity to go and work on Magic at the time internally. That became available. At the same time, he was kind of like not that interested in working on something so far from what he wanted to work on, was the term words he used. And it was just a decision of what direction they wanted to go, and the company wanted to go in a different direction to the way he wanted to go. So he moved over to work on Magic instead. Applied for the job to work on Magic and did that instead.
Oh well, there we go.
Fair enough.
I mean, that's his version. I'm not, there's versions and there's versions, of course.
I'm more inclined to believe the person that was involved in it than online speculation generally. Obviously, I don't know, but
no, there's no way we can know.
I've got no reason to doubt that. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
I just okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that is what he said about that.
And that's that. Well, that sounds like an interesting discussion.
Believe that or not as you will, I guess.
Is that talk linked on Ian World in the article? So if you want to go and listen to the whole thing.
You can listen to the entire interview, yeah.
Okay.
And that can add a bit more context to some of this as well.
Yeah.
We're taking snippets really from our 20 interview.
I haven't listened to the hour 20 thing, so maybe I'll do that if I find the time.
Yeah. So, my takeaway from all of that is kind of like, he's kind of defending the Wizards at the OGL situation, which, I'm not really on board with that, I don't think, because I believe that maybe they were surprised by the backlash and weren't expecting it to be leaked. I believe that. But I still think it was a big mismove. That's not a word, is it?
Misstep.
Misstep.
Unforced error would be
Yeah. And we were, at the time really worried what's going to happen to our company because we were, we very much depended on the OGL, and it felt like a threat. It felt like we were being attacked.
Yeah.
And we were, what we're going to do? Have we got enough money in the war chest to weather? We actually spoke to lawyers of have we got enough money to weather an attack like this? And turns out probably we do. Well, because as it turns out, this sort of thing, the kind of like thing is, a bigger company has more money than you, so they'll just keep on throwing an infinite amount of money out of it. But they're not going to do that because nobody throws an infinite amount on and on and on forever. Yeah. Basically, you don't need millions to defend against something like that, but you do need an amount of money, which I think we would have been.
We had, but I think a lot of RPG the majority of our independent companies would not.
Yeah. I think a lot of the middle range ones, like Paizo could have done, or Monty Cook Games could have done, or Modifius could have done.
Oh yeah.
But I meant all of these kind
the
of
majority, which is all the
micro creators.
So many.
Yeah, but I think in that situation, I think the micro creators be looking to the larger creators to.
Oh yeah, and I think there were conversations I think had between some middle-sized creators of making a shield. There was talks of like if one person goes down, we'll all go down. So I think there was very much an agreement of like if it kicks off,
we'll all together.
Yeah. It felt like a real nice adventurers and my axe moment.
I do kind of wonder if that had actually happened. If Wizards had singled out a company. Say us or someone else.
Mm-hmm.
No, let's not say us. Let's just say a random company.
Yeah.
Not someone who could probably afford to.
Maybe
someone
maybe Judge's Guild.
Someone small. Anyway, whoever.
PJ.
What sort of rallying would actually happen on a practical level? Do you think there would have been?
Yeah.
There would have been a GoFundMe, obviously, but I wonder how successful, how well it would have done. I mean, I'd contribute to it for sure, but
I think because it's a case, it sets a legal precedent. That would be the thing. I'd be like,
a bunch of the bigger companies jump in and say, right, here's 20 grand towards the legal fund, here's 50 grand towards the legal funds. Would they do that?
From backroom conversations, I don't want to name anyone. I think yes. There were some people that I think were a bit excited about the opportunity to do that, but
there were some individuals doing lawsuits.
Yeah, if someone's taking it for the team, though, it's just I wonder how much the community would rally around. And I think I liked, but maybe that's me being optimistic and naive because I tend to look at the good in people. I think they would have not, but only to protect, but also selfishly to protect yourself. Because if it's a legal precedent set that hey, if you do this. That's not allowed. That knocks on to everybody.
Yeah. So, it's all dominoes sort of thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think.
Yeah, so they've done it out of self-interest anyway, even if not.
What a great PR opportunity as well.
Yeah, and there were people who were like sufficiently annoyed that they were like just going for it has a point of principle,
Yes.
which I know sounds like a bit bizarre, but sometimes points of principle can get people really going.
Yeah.
And they were like, saying, "Yeah, come on, let's go." Also,
sometimes I wonder if, like, being the company picked to be sued by Wizards for that reason at that time would maybe have been, like, kind of perversely such a big backfire on Wizards' side that it actually turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to that company. The amount of spotlight that would be put on that company, the amount of publicity that company would get, and if everyone else was banding together to help offset the legal fees and stuff, so the company wasn't destroyed in the process.
Yeah,
I mean, you'd be the heroes, wouldn't you?
It depends upon the thing. Like, I personally am not averse to a bit of risk, but I think I would just die of stress.
Yeah.
And I think.
I mean, it wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be fun.
It wouldn't be fun.
I don't know. I don't think I'd have been able to handle it. And I know other creators who are like.
But imagine if you were the little
very bad
took on Hasbro and won.
I mean, if you take on Hasbro and win,
you'd be cemented in RPG history for the rest of eternity.
Especially when it's a fight you didn't start; they just came and smacked you out of nowhere.
Sure. But then you got like the dyed in the wool, like, we're on D&D next, people coming after you. How dare you do anything to do with Hasbro? Because they're just some absolutely weirdo people out there who would just devote the rest of their lives trying to make you miserable. So no thanks. Yeah, that's my take. Yeah.
There we go.
I just want to sell some cool books about, like, making your own stuff and, like,
just
being awesome. And that's what I want. I don't want to be involved in legal battles with companies.
No.
That's like literally the opposite reason of why I would want to be. I do not want that in my hobby. I don't think my hobby should involve homework even. Call me old-fashioned weird. I'm like, hey, maybe we should just be able to play and have it be easy. How about that? Yeah, that'd be good. Anyway, sorry.
Sounds fake.
I hate RPGs that are easy. I think everything should be as difficult as possible.
We are past the scheduled recording time. I feel we are call this speculating. So next week we'll have a deeper dive into the Monstrous Menagerie with Mike Shea.
Monster Manual.
Monster Manual. What did I call?
Monster Manual.
No, Monster Manual, the D&D one. Sorry.
Yeah. Let's go. Side by side.
No.
Well, I've noticed
the manual by
text
Dungeons and Dragons
for the D&D Monster Manual says that it is a monstrous menagerie of creatures.
Okay. Right. All right, so that'll be next week. But in the meantime, on Tuesday, 6 p.m. GMT, come watch us play Baldur's Gate because it's going to be fun.
Yes, Tuesday, Baldur's Gate. It's going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to it so much.
You sound so sarcastic. Yes. I'm trying to make you do something horrible. We're going to play a game. Oh no, I have to play games with my friends. Oh
no, such a shame. Yeah. God, well,
I hate fun.
It's fine.
I'll just have a great time.
Well, we'll tell you what good time we had. Yeah.
All right, let's get out here. Let's go and have a weekend. Next week, Monster Manual, Mike Shea, Slice Irish will be with us, joining us, giving his thoughts and feelings on the subject. And it's going to be epic, but we're going to go and have a weekend now.
All right. Thanks very much. Bye.
Goodbye.
All the tabletop role-playing news, we aim to amuse and we aim to enthuse. And Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG.